Hey everybody, and welcome to Dave Calls While You Make Food. Today we have some great guests, Jim and Tonya Norton from Jim Norton Photography, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so you guys do awesome photography and also a lot of awesome food photography, and you've done a bunch of great work for us and other people. But
And tasty. It was
And,
very
and
tasty.
tasty too. So
okay, so before we get started, there is a trivia section to the show. So anytime you hear that bell, there's going to be a trivia question, and you'll get a chance to win some prizes.
Nice.
great.
I always wanted to be on Jeopardy, so that's second best.
Just like Jeopardy. So what are you guys making today?
We're gonna do a frittata, which is good for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you want to do. And we're gonna use the sunshine blend with it today.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I love that with eggs.
Yeah, we have some broccoli and red pepper and shallot as well.
Yeah. So sometimes we'll do a protein in it, like pancetta, or you can do bacon or something like that. But we're keeping it more on the just the egg protein today. So
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And is there some like cheese in that, or is that not a frittata?
yes, and
Yeah.
of course it's cheese. Yes. Yeah, always cheese. And actually, I think in the eggs you're gonna add a little bit of like sour cream and milk, right? So
Just to add a little richness to it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice. All right. Well, let's get started cooking.
okay, let's do that then. You'll have to let me know. I'm gonna turn the fan on. If it's too loud, we'll figure that out. So it shouldn't be too bad. So for this, like for frittata, I'm gonna use a cast iron. So just like a standard kind of cast iron, nothing too fancy. I find the cast iron just gives that like a nice crust, right? So, and it's also non-stick. So you could use a non-stick pan too, as long as it's oven safe, I guess, to a certain point, because it goes under the broiler, but it only goes under the broiler for like a couple minutes. So, I mean, most of that non-stick surface should be safe.
I mean, if you got a cast iron for something like this, that's what you got to use, I think. Yeah.
They're so great.
Yeah, I love my cast iron. The one I have actually, it's come through the family, so it's probably, I mean, 100. It's over 100 years old for sure.
Oh, cool.
It's been around for a while. And actually, I think made in Canada too. So
Oh, cool.
this one, either way, it's a nice solid cast iron pan.
Been around for a long
It's been
time.
around for a while. So.
Yeah, yeah.
I figured out a really easy way a while ago. I found it online. It's because quite often old cast iron you have to kind of clean, right?
Yeah.
And so there's I guess the one way you can do it is using lye, which is really dangerous and it's acidic.
Yeah.
The other way you can do it, you still have to be careful, is actually using electricity.
Oh.
So you basically put the pan in a bath with some. It's like a washing soda to basically, I guess, it helps the electricity in the water. And this is where it gets a little bit crazy. You have a piece of metal, which is your donor metal.
Yeah.
Then you have your cast iron pan, and you basically hook a terminal of a battery charger to each piece. I believe the positive is on the cast iron and negative is on the piece of metal.
You may want to check on that.
I would double check my instructions.
Yeah.
And essentially, you turn it on, and all that crud and rust and everything on the cast iron
Yeah.
just starts coming off the cast iron pan and attaches itself to the other metal pan.
Oh, wow. That is very cool.
And so it creates raw cast iron really quickly, and then you can re-season it.
Yeah.
And one thing you have to be careful about is that it does produce hydrogen.
But I think if I want to do that, I'm going to take it to you.
But it works really, really well, and you can basically strip a pan without using really harsh chemicals,
Yeah.
and it's done in like 24 hours.
Oh, cool.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. You're teaching me trivia. I'm going to do trivia question number 1.
All right.
What type of food was duct taped to a wall in Italian artist Maurizio Catalan's piece of art called The Comedian?
Oh.
Oh boy.
So it's a piece of food duct taped to the wall. What's the piece of food?
I'm personally gonna say prosciutto.
I think it's pasta.
Oh, it was actually a banana.
A banana.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's sold for over like $120,000.
Wow.
That's pretty crazy. A banana.
Yeah.
I would say you're more of a film buff than I am. So
Yeah, I don't know that one. So
Yeah.
I learned something new today.
So I'm just putting the red peppers in.
Okay. So you've got so far you've got what, diced red peppers?
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, this will have diced red peppers, the sliced shallots, and then the broccoli, which I'll put in at the very end.
Mm.
I was using like pancetta or bacon or something like that. I would cook the bacon first, take the bacon out. I'd use that bacon fat to cook the peppers and the onions in. So today I'm using, quite often if I'm cooking like onions or anything like that, I cook my onions quite often in like butter and olive oil. So there's always extra butter, olive oil left over at the end that's onion flavored. Yeah. So I always save that like bacon fat.
Okay. Oh, that's a great idea.
I've thrown into the pan just as my starter for the fat. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that would give it a bunch of flavor. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lasts for a long. I just keep it in the fridge in a jar.
Yeah.
And if you're doing like potatoes or anything where you use like butter and olive oil, you just kind of like throw it in, right?
Yeah. And what did you do with the egg so far?
So I beat the eggs. I added some salt and pepper, and I added because I have 6 eggs. I put a 1/4 cup of sour cream, which didn't have quite a 1/4 cup, so we used a bit of 2% milk. But you could use creme fraiche or cream or half and half. Depends. Just maybe not skim milk because it's a little too watery.
Yeah.
I want something added to a little bit of creaminess to the eggs.
Mm.
Yeah. This should be not too long. Yeah. So here we go.
Trivia question number 2. Okay. If someone has celiac disease, what kind of food should they avoid?
Gluten.
Yeah.
You're right. Yes. And you win. Ooh, a wooden spoon. It's like
Okay.
It's made by this guy in Nova Scotia, and it's called the Spoonery.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone wins a signed photo of me too, so you get that.
Yay!
As I say, a good wooden spoon is something that lasts a long time. Like I think the spoon I'm using, this was my mom's.
Okay, yeah. As long as you take care of it, it can last for a long time.
And I don't even really take care of it that well. It's just it just seems to last forever. So
yeah, I mean, I think that the older spoons too, like the wood was different, because I know that I have one like wooden spatula type thing that I've had as long as I know, and I think I got it from my mom or grandma, and it's like my go-to one.
No, that's exactly it. It's funny when at the studio, I think we have it. There's a spoon it's a spoon like this, but it's got a little hole in it, and I think I made it in like grade 7. And it was at my parents' house, I think, when I was like just looking for like just extra stuff. So we're down to shallots now. You could use onion too, obviously, but shallots are a little milder.
Yeah. I mean, I love shallots. I like to throw it in whenever I can. So when you're doing food photography, what's like the trickiest thing that you've ever had to take a photo of?
It seems mundane, but one of the hardest things I think to photograph is like a wrap, like a sandwich wrap.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's tubular. There's not a lot of texture to it. I mean, they aren't the prettiest things in the world. Yeah. It's like burritos fall into that same category, that kind of stuff.
When you cut them open, at least you have a nice end to look at, but it's really hard to make that look nice.
I mean, and obviously we always work with great food stylists who are a lot of them are quite often chefs. And it's a challenge for them to make it look good in front of the camera. So when it works, you feel pretty good about it because you're like, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Like technically it's not too difficult. It's just it's a difficult subject, but luckily I don't have to shoot too often. So watch, now that I've said that, some big like wrap job will come down the pipes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, the other thing that's kind of a little bit more technically difficult to do is ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
Just because quite often, like we don't use fake ice cream when we shoot. Like it's always real ice cream. It's not fake. It's not like lard or anything like that. Yeah. It's always the real thing. So you have to work really, really quickly. And, fun. It's technical, but it's a lot of fun. But it's I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. But it's always a bit of a challenge because you get one chance, and then if it doesn't work, you got to start over.
Yeah. I think I read like online that sometimes they use like colored mashed potatoes for ice cream, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Not anymore. I mean, I've been I've been doing it for quite a few years,
Mm.
and it's been, I think, early in my career, you might have seen something like that, but nowadays everybody wants it. If you're shooting for an ice cream company, they
Yeah.
want you to use their real
The
product.
real thing.
Yeah, I think we should have spice now. So we're using Sunshine Blend,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do probably about a tablespoon, I think, for the nuts I have here. No, sorry, a teaspoon.
I think you mean.
Yeah.
Ooh.
If it was garlic and somebody said add a teaspoon, I would add a tablespoon. But yeah, I'm gonna just give it a good shake in there because there's gonna be quite a bit of egg going into there. So
Oh.
yeah, a teaspoon I think looks like a good amount.
It was a very heaping.
A heaping teaspoon, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it already smells good, right? As soon as it hits the pan,
It
it's
smells
like,
really good.
All right.
oh, we got another one.
The last one.
Last one.
Yeah, there's only 3. What happens when you eat a miracle berry?
A miracle berry.
Yeah.
I don't know what a miracle berry is.
A miracle happens.
I'm gonna say turns your tongue blue.
Oh, it's close. It does something to your tongue. It makes sour stuff taste sweet for a certain amount of time.
Is a miracle berry like a native East Coast thing?
I'm not sure about the history of it. I don't think it's an East Coast thing, but I know that like you can buy them and people have like miracle berry parties where they like eat the berries and then try a whole bunch of pure lemon juice or other sour things, and then
We're gonna have to try that. I've never even heard of it before.
Yeah, that's just sort of like, wow, I've never even heard of that.
We're learning a lot today, Dave.
yeah, well, I've been learning a lot too. That's the whole point of the show.
Well, I got going off the miracle berry thing. I have an interesting one, which is not everybody gets to play with dry ice. So dry ice is like what they use to quite often ship like a lot of things, keep them frozen. And there's food grade dry ice, and then there's non-food grade dry ice. And you want to make sure you use food grade dry ice if you're going to play this trick.
Yeah.
Essentially, if you have like a plastic cooler, like a big cooler you take camping or whatever, you can take soft-sided fruit and basically anything that's like strawberries, melons, anything with a really high water content.
Yeah.
And you put it on one side of your cooler and you cover it with towels.
Okay.
You take some dry ice, you put it on the other side of your cooler.
Mm.
You close your cooler up, and you can wrap a little bit of plastic around it. So you want to try and make it as airtight as you possibly can.
Yeah.
And you leave it overnight.
Okay.
Or 8 hours. And what it does, as the dry ice evaporates, it carbonates your fruit.
Oh.
So when you bite into like a strawberry or a melon or anything like that, it's fizzy.
Oh, cool.
It's a really kind of cool thing to do.
Yeah.
If you ever have dry ice from shipping or anything like that, it's a lot of fun. It really messes people up because they don't know what's going on. So I think we're going to add the egg.
All right. Yeah. That would be, if you didn't know what was going on, it would be weird to eat bite into a strawberry and it start bubbling.
Yeah, like watermelon, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Basically anything you have like a really wet fruit or vegetable, you can carbonate it.
Mm.
Thanks. Okay, just gonna add the egg.
Mm.
I should quiet things down a little bit. Okay.
Thing with using cast iron is everything gets hot.
Yeah.
So we have our oven on broil. So once the egg starts to firm up a little bit in the pan, then we'll broil it. I'm going to grab the cheese.
Yeah.
Mm.
So basically, I'm just gonna let the eggs kind of just set up a little bit, so it's just starting to kind of like still got a little bit of a jiggle to it, but it's not firm. And then it'll go in the oven for like 5 minutes. If not.
Ooh.
Smells really delicious. I wish you could smell how good it smells. This sunshine blend we've used for so many different things, even tacos or rubbed on a pork tenderloin and roast chicken, lots of different things.
Yeah.
We really love it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's so versatile. And the nice thing too is like, I mean, obviously all the seasonings in there, the sea salt, so you don't really need to add anything to anything. So
one of my favorite ways to use that is to put that on pork chops with lime juice and fish sauce, and then just like barbecue or pan fry it.
Using fish sauce.
Yeah, like a good fish sauce, lime juice, and the sunshine blend, and that's all you need. Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I think so many people are afraid of fish sauce because of the smell, right? So
Yeah. You gotta
this
like
one,
get past the smell in the jar, right? So you guys are based in Toronto. Have you gone to any good restaurants lately?
We have. I went to Pompette recently, which was delicious French food,
Ooh.
and they were doing some really, really delicious things.
locally, like we're in the Christie Pitts area of Toronto, so in kind of like West End. And so we have a really great little local place called Maison Tea, which is a little French restaurant. The chef is actually Japanese.
Ooh.
So there's always a little bit of he's classically trained in terms of French cooking, but
Yeah.
there's always some like a little bit of a Japanese twist to his cooking.
Ooh.
So it's an excellent little local place. So it's pretty good. And it's not far away from Actinolite, which is
Oh,
also another excellent restaurant.
yeah.
So you know those guys. So
It's
Yeah.
very delicious and it's very local. Lots of foraging and local producers providing them with delicious things at their restaurant.
yeah,
And we can stumble there and back.
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times. I just like it always blows my mind like what they do with so much like local stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jim went foraging with the chef there, Justin. Once they were foraging some rose petals and some other things, just not far from here, which is delicious.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Even mulberry berries from our neighbor sometimes at their restaurant.
I think people think that foraging happens out in the countryside and forest. It does quite often, but Justin has developed a way to kind of like find so many things just locally by walking around the neighborhood that people have no idea that is edible.
Yeah.
And it's just there and people just don't know. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But I'd like to like get an expert to come down here in the country at the right time of year and just like learn a whole bunch of things that I can.
yeah. Well, especially with like mushrooms, anything like that, you got to be really, really careful.
Yeah.
But it's there's so many things out there that are just there growing naturally and are just add like that little bit of flavor that people don't realize. So it's in the oven now. Cheese.
So if you were going to do a professional photograph of a frittata, how would you go about doing it?
Well, I guess it depends on what stage you want to kind of capture that. Like even right now, it's really pretty because it's in the cast iron and
you can see the broccoli and the pepper, the nice colors. The cheese isn't quite melted yet. It's pretty visible on top.
Yeah.
Wait one sec. Yeah. There we go. That's in the oven and that's off. Yeah, but I mean, quite often a frittata, most people want to photograph it. I mean, when it's finished, so you got that little bit of browning. I mean, it's always nice when it's like there's a slice of it and it's cut out. But in that kind of situation, you kind of wanted to have it like a little bit more of like a setting, like either it's like a sitting at like a table or so it makes
fork
sense.
on the side, you're just going to dig in.
I mean, it all depends on what the context of like ultimately there's usually with most photographs, there's a story behind it. Yeah. So story is kind of like a brunch setting. I mean, you're going to have lots of those other elements around it, like maybe, a mimosa, glass of orange
exactly
juice,
what I was thinking of.
coffee, something like that.
Yeah.
So it all depends. And then it's really just about trying to isolate it and get the prettiest parts out of it. So like in this case, this frittata will have actually quite a bit of color in it. It's got the broccoli, it's got the red pepper. I mean, you've got the egg, so it would be probably a pretty photograph in the end.
Yeah.
We'll take an Instagram photo when it's finished.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So on our oven, we have a convection setting for our broiler. Okay. So you can put it on convection, which just keeps that air circulating, so things tend to broil a little bit faster.
Yeah.
You can't really kind of ignore it.
Yeah, I once was cooking like a whole turkey and I made the mistake of using the convection oven setting, and so just what it did is it crisped up the skin and like made the outside really hot, and then it was like, oh no, it's like almost still frozen.
You had a photo-worthy turkey. It just wasn't cooked on the inside.
Yeah.
In our world is a little bit more common. Sometimes if you're just shooting a turkey, we don't have time to cook a whole turkey. So they'll basically cook the outside of it, but the inside is completely raw.
Yeah.
Right, you don't want to eat that after the shoot.
Yeah, you don't want to quite often we don't eat the food on set because it sits for a while.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is done.
It's fluffed up really nicely.
Fluffed up nicely. I don't know if I'll see it. Let's see if you guys can kind of sort of see it.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that looks nice.
I can bring it closer to the camera.
Yeah.
There we go. Steamy.
Oh, you can see the steam. Oh, that's awesome.
And it's plenty hot. So usually after it comes out of the oven, I'll just take a spatula and just kind of take it around the edge just to release the edge a little bit.
All right. Yeah.
Not that it requires much, but and then
we eat it.
And then we eat it.
All right. Awesome.
Dave, but maybe you can make your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would get cold by the time I came to Nova Scotia. What's your favorite thing to photograph?
That's a tough one. I really enjoy kind of photographing stuff in situation. So I mean, if just being there and following along the process. So it's kind of almost a bit more like telling the story.
Mm.
My favorite thing.
The tastiest things that he likes to eat.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm always I am a meat eater, so it's I will always lean towards meats and stuff like that. Let's see how this comes out. Might not be the best tool. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'd say it turned out pretty good. Good crust on it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
The broccoli and the red pepper.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's actually. I'll bring it over closer so you can get a good idea of where the crust is. So there's you can see a little bit of the crust on the bottom.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the cast iron really kind of does a great job.
That's a beautiful crust. Okay, so I'm not gonna keep you too much longer now that you have food ready. But thank you very much for coming on, and you should check out their Instagram and website. We'll put links below because they've got you guys got beautiful photographs.
We're always happy to share, and it's great. But thanks for having us on.